we are looking at Module 9, the case study for EDL 959, and I am Ashley Billups. So starting off, we are looking at a summary of the case. So just in general, what is happening? We have the assistant principal, Kim, who is trying to implement a new cross-curricular initiative to improve writing test scores on the state assessments. We are at the Trescott district, and test scores are much below average for reading and math, and many students do not attempt to even answer these short answer questions that we are struggling with. So because of those reasons, Kim has brought in a formula writing expert, Ellen, to help the students understand and implement these new changes that they're trying to make to the curriculum. So the people we have involved are Kim, our expert, Ellen, various teachers and staff, students, and parents. So if we look at section 2, we're looking at potential legal issues that could arise here. So first of all, we want to answer, has anyone been harmed? And currently the answer is no, based on the current actions that have taken place. As they move forward with a plan or without making any changes, there may be, but not currently. If we look at the legal issues, there may be little to no differentiation based on the information it has given us. And if that is the case, there could be some potential legal issues or legal action that needs to happen. That way these students are getting the differentiation that they need. And then along the lines of that, looking at the breach of contract towards the teachers, again, none at the present time, but future issues could arise. And again, with going back to the differentiation, if teachers are failing to meet students' needs, this may be something that their contract may be terminated because of. So trying to summarize our whole issue here, the whole little case scenario, into one sentence. So I have Principal Kim is trying to implement new cross-curricular formula writing, instructional, and assessment practices to increase student performance and cultivate culturally authentic learning. So as we move on to section 4, we're looking at the different levels of involvement or what is really happening and where this scenario is happening. So let's start with the people. We have Assistant Principal Kim, our formula writing expert, Ellen, teachers, students, and parents. We're not given specifics on some of these, but we know that they either are involved or they will be involved when the process continues. The place that we are looking at is Trescott Middle School, which is in the Roxford City School District, and this is kind of a suburban area, like a metropolitan type of area. And then looking at the program, we are trying to implement formula writing. Why? Because of these below average test scores and the fact that children are opting out of these short answer like questions. What they have currently is more of a teacher-centered instruction, and we're also looking at a lack of culturally relevant practices in the current program, and that is hopefully going to change as we implement this formula writing. So review of our information. So first of all, do we have any potential damage to the stakeholders and community? If we are not taking action, damages students' learning when differentiation isn't occurring and standards aren't being met. So currently there is some potential damage. This may fall back on the district, therefore, on the administration and the teachers. If they're not differentiating and they're not meeting their needs, there is some damages that could occur from that to the students as well as to the people in charge. Who has important stakes in the outcomes, and this is really everyone. So we have teachers and administration that will face consequences of the low test scores, and then we have students who are facing concerns of not being able to meet the future requirements set on them by their future employers. Have all stakeholders been consulted? At this present time, we don't believe so, but I think as we would move forward in this process, the parents would become informed at some point of the changes that would be occurring. And can I learn more about the situation? So what is it that we need to support the teachers to make this shift happen in our instructional practices? And what is it that the parents need to help their students meet these new school expectations? So we really need to get a better idea all around of what we need and who we need to help in order to make this successful. So if we look at the different options as we move forward, looking at our current plan and if we're trying to implement this new formula writing plan to increase our standardized test scores. Our first option would be the no action option, which was kind of in a non-directive sense. So if there's no action being taken, the teachers will continue teaching how they see fit, regardless of the writing skills and low test scores. So this means the administration is not putting their foot down on anything, and they're just going to let the teachers continue how they have been in the past, which is what has resulted in these low test scores. On the other end, I'm going to skip over to option 3. We have Kim's control, which would be our principal. So this is a directive force of control. So Assistant Principal Kim proceeds with writing improvement plan, how she sees fit. So she's going to take whatever she thinks is important and implement that plan regardless of how the teachers or the parents or the students feel about it. And then we can meet and compromise in the middle, which I am calling our compromise plan. So in this option 2, we would have teachers and administrators work together to develop and implement a plan to make assessment more culturally relevant, as well as improving the writing skills. So what really sets option 2 different from the other two on the other two ends is that we have both teachers and administrators putting forth what their feelings are and getting the things that they want out of this new system. So it's really a compromise. And so with that, if we look at those options we just discussed, we have pros and cons for each of them. So if we look at our no action option, and this is where the teachers continue as they were, the pros of this is that there's high teacher autonomy. The teachers do have the choice of what to do in their own classroom, which any teacher typically likes. And because of that, there will be high teacher buy-in. The teachers get to do what they see fit, and so they're going to, obviously like that idea. The cons of the no action option is that there can be lack of support from administrators. If teachers are getting to do what they want, the administrators may not be as on board with it. And then there's little to no fidelity that's occurring between the teachers. If every teacher in the middle school is getting to do their own plan and their own sort of work, there's nothing being set across the board as to what our standards are as a school. And then if we look at our options, our pros and cons for option 2, the compromise option, and this is where the teachers and administrators work together. The pro of this is that there's going to be ownership and buy-in from both parties. Both the teachers and the administrators are going to feel ownership, and they're going to feel responsible and involved, and hopefully that will increase the buy-in that happens for this new plan. Cons of this is that because we need these teachers and administrators to work together, it will be much more time consuming than the other two plans, and it may be divisive between staff. So anytime you open up the floor to discussion on trying to come up with a plan that everyone needs to follow, there's obviously going to be people that disagree. And so when you're opening it up for this type of conversation, it may create some divisiveness between your staff members. And then our third option, which was Kim's control, the pros of this is that there's going to be a high level of support from administrators because this is their plan after all. It's what they think is important. So they'll be very helpful in getting it done. And then it will also increase the instructional fidelity. If Kim is controlling what's happening in every single classroom, we know that the same things are being covered throughout every classroom in the school district, which is good. And cons of Kim's control is that there's going to be lack of teacher buy-in. If it's not something they think is important, they're probably not going to support it. And then along the lines of that, we have feasibility issues. So I feel like many a times when administrators have an idea that other staff members don't buy into, if you don't have people who are on the same page as you, accomplishing your goal is then going to become much more difficult. So because of all of those pros and cons, I have chose to go with option 2. So any plan will not be successful if the stakeholders do not all buy in. So allowing teachers and administrators developing the plan together is going to best suit the needs of all stakeholders, whether that be the teachers, administrators, or the students. So I think that is the best option to move forward. So looking at what this is going to look like for us, what is it that, or who is it that needs to know about this? So it will include teachers, staff, support staff, And community members at some point will all be given different levels of knowledge of what is happening. Can I deal with this on my own? And no, the whole point of this type of plan is that collaboration is necessary. As the leader, as Assistant Principal Kim, she can, divide and conquer, but is definitely going to take some collaboration to get this type of plan accomplished. And what is the plan if the plan doesn't work? Always with any good plan, we need to reevaluate as we go. So it's not like we're going to look at this process 2 years down the road and be like, oh, it didn't work, the end. Consistently as we're going through each of these steps, we'll need to reevaluate and reassess and make changes as we go to fit our current needs. And then what does this mean for Triscuit Middle School? So we have collaboration and teamwork is needed to develop the new plan moving forward. We have Assistant Principal Kim, who needs to officiate the process, but allow other opinions and ideas to drive the process towards change. So Principal Kim really needs to be the facilitator, but allowing other people's ideas to shine in the process. And